What's up, guys? Hang on a second. It's the man with the hottest wheels. My name is Corey Hot Wheels, and I am back for another episode of WrestleTalk Summerslam edition. As we know, a couple hours ago, SummerSlam ended, and I'm going to talk about it. So, first match, I'm going to bring up SummerSlam Battle Royal. We did see the return of Almost, and I don't really have a lot to say about this match. I think everyone and their brother knew that this was for LA Knight to go over and to help build his stardom, which is what is needed because LA Knight is super over right now. So, good on WWE for letting LA Knight get the win. Yeah. And, let's talk about the MMA rules match between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I mean, was it a good match? No. Was it a bad match? No. I mean, it did its job. It was allowing Shayna and Ronda to compete in a type of environment where they first started MMA, which, probably has something to do secretly with the Endeavor deal, with them being the parent company of the UFC, as well as a majority owner of the WWE now. And, it did what it was supposed to do. Ronda was done with WWE. She wanted it out. And she wanted to put Shayna Baszler over on her way out and establish her as the new baddest woman on the planet, and that's exactly what was done. So, it did its job. I do agree with the critics. I think it should have been, a street fight and, done like a TKO finish. Kind of what happened with Brock, or exactly what happened with Brock and Randy Orton at SummerSlam back in 2016. When Brock busted Randy open, and that's how they ruled the ending of the match was a TKO. And, I think that would have been better, but like I said, it wasn't a bad match, and it did the job it was set out to do. So, with that said, let's talk about Logan Paul versus Ricochet. Back and forth match. Both men brought everything that they had. I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal match. A phenomenal kickoff to SummerSlam. And some could say they don't like the ending, but here's what I'm thinking. Whoever that dude was, I think he was from Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast that gave him the brass knuckles. Because it could be said, like, okay, like Ricochet could get up saying, okay, Logan, you may have pinned me, but you didn't beat me clean. And you're going to have a feud with these guys. Because similar in-ring styles, Ricochet's, done it all in the professional wrestling industry, and, I think he can help elevate Logan Paul to the next level. So, I think this set up for another match in the future between the two. We could have another three-peat, which I know there's a lot of that in wrestling, especially in WWE, but hey, You know, it can make for a next good rivalry. We need some good feuds in the WWE. You know. So, let's talk about one of my favorite matches of the night. The WWE Women's Title Triple Threat match. You know, back and forth, you know, all three women brought their A game, and I hope Bianca didn't get hurt, because I swore when she did that landing on the steps, they did the X. So hopefully Bianca is not seriously injured. And Bianca was able to get the win by rolling up Asuka while still locked in Charlotte Flair's figure eight. And what I knew would happen, but I was excited nonetheless, Io Sky came out and is finally WWE Women's Champion. Hell to the yes. You know, I mean, I love Bianca, but it was Io's time. I mean, Io was a badass in NXT, a hell of an NXT Women's Champion. And I'm really glad she is the WWE Women's Champion. Hopefully she gets a hell of a run with it. And, you know, and I think it could spark a good feud between her and Bayley. You know, because you know that Bayley's eventually going to turn on her. And, you know, Bayley being the star that she is in the WWE could help put Io over. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I think that was kind of the whole purpose of Damage Control, was to help put Io and Dakota over as stars. Now, I don't think Dakota is going to be as big of a star as Io, you know, because, you know, poor Dakota is injury prone. But, you know, Bayley, you know, having that underdog story that she had with the hugger gimmick, and then, you know, coming back, you know, to being, you know, one of the greatest heels in women's wrestling history, you know, and I think, you know, she can help put Io, like I said, help put Io over to be the next star of the women's division. So, with that said, let's talk about the World Heavyweight title match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Now, going into this, especially with it at SummerSlam, and if you remember what happened 7 years ago, you know, Seth Rollins did that powerbomb in the apron and it injured Finn's shoulder, and he had to relinquish the title the next night on Raw. And so that was kind of the whole thing of this story, like, oh, Seth Rollins laughed at me when I was at my lowest, da-da-da-da-da. I've been seething over this for 7 years. You know, I thought, personally, we were going to see the culmination of this, and that being Finn Balor becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. But, you know, Damian Priest came out, you know, slid in the briefcase, and as Finn was trying to grab it, and Damian was arguing with the ref, you know, Seth stomped Finn Balor onto the briefcase. Which I'm honestly not too mad about that, because I think Seth's been a hell of a champion. He is put the world title back on the map where it needs to be. So, and I think this will be the rivalry between, you know, Finn and, you know, Priest, because as much as I love the Judgment Day, you know, I think it's run its course. I think it's did what it set out to do, because think about it like this. What if Damian beats Seth for the world title by cashing in the Money in the Bank, right? And then Finn's jealous and then Damian rubs it in, like, I did something you couldn't. And that was capture the world title. So then they have a world title feud, you know. If they put Dom in NXT for a while, that'd be fine. You know, whatever they were going to do with him. And then, you know, let Rhea go on and be the women's world champion and actually get a good feud for the title. Because I think her and Raquel are going to have a good feud. Now, I don't know if it's storyline that Raquel's hurt or if she actually is hurt. I'm not sure. But we'll see where, you know, the whole Judgment Day thing goes. And let's talk about Drew and Gunther. You know, I thought it was a really excellent match. You know, I didn't know who I thought would benefit for the win, but, you know, I'm kind of glad Gunther went over and is continuing his reign. And then, you know, it's like, you know, Drew be like that big face, like, oh yeah, Gunther got the better of me, da 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 da. And then, you know, and then it's like, you know, especially with his team with Riddle, like, you know, he can eventually turn on Riddle and become a, you know, like a Scottish psychopath, like the heel he was, you know, when they first brought him up, you know, from NXT when he came back in 2017. So, I don't know where this story is going to go, but just like all of you, I will be watching to find out. And last but not least, we have the Tribal Combat match. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the right to be Tribal Chief and the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. You know, I've said this from the beginning. I did not think that Jey Uso was world title material. You know, I kind of started to, you know, second guess my opinion, you know, as the story went on in the build-up to SummerSlam. But, you know, I kind of knew that Jey wasn't going to win it. But I did not see Jimmy Uso stabbing Jey in the back. I did not see that coming yet. Because I was thinking that, okay, maybe they're going to have Jey win. You know, Jimmy going to be like that supporting brother. And then eventually, Jimmy's was going to be like, hey, I want my shot at the title. And then they have the match at WrestleMania. Because there was an interview with both Jey and Jimmy saying that their dream was to have a match against each other at WrestleMania. So that could be what's starting. And, you know, and everybody's like, oh, this bloodline story is so stale. Blah, blah. But I'm like, hey, I think it's great, and it definitely is keeping me interested because now I'm kind of sitting there going, oh shit, like, where's this gonna go now? You know, Jay's turned on Jimmy. Roman speared Solo in that match, even though it was an accident, but if you were watching, you saw Solo was mad. So it could be like Jay and Jimmy are trying to get Solo to join up with the opposite. And then Solo's just like, you know what, screw both of y'all. And, you know, he goes on his solo run, pun intended. And then, you know, Jay and Jimmy continue their feud. You know, or, I mean, it could be a long-standing feud, or it could be like the Bellas, you know, they feud for a while, and then, you know, they have a match where one turns into the other's lackey, and then eventually the like Brie did, embrace it, and, you know, eventually, you know, turn heel and re-solidify herself with Nikki. Because, you know, the Bella Twins, you know, Nikki turned on Brie at SummerSlam 2014 when Brie was in that feud with Stephanie McMahon. So I'm really interested to see where this goes. And something else I wanted to bring up was the press conference. And there was a question directed at Triple H that said, you know, how much does Vince McMahon have say in creative? And then he was asked about, you know, Vince's spinal surgery. And Triple H said, you know, I mean, the guys made the wrestling industry what it is. I mean, we would be silly not to ask him questions. But as being in the day-to-day creative, no. And Triple H went on to say, you know, he's earned that right. And I totally agree with what Triple H is saying. Because, yes, Vince McMahon has had questionable ideas. Like, everybody's like, oh, this is a Vince idea. Oh, Triple H is a bad booker. He's not as good as we thought he was going to be. It's like, dude, you know, I think of wrestling like a sports team, okay? I'm a big sports fan. I got sports memorabilia of different teams all over my apartment. I'm wearing a Browns hat right now. Okay? Do we want to talk about, like, really, let's talk about the Browns, you know, since they came back in 1999. You know, there's been good decisions that the front office has made, and there's been really, really shitty ones. And wrestling's the same way. No matter what promotion you watch, big or small, there's going to be decisions that are really, really good by the promoter, and then you sit there and you wonder, it's like, where the hell are you going with this? Like, what's the point of this? You know, why is this here? This is stupid. You know, I mean, I felt that way about decisions that independent promotions I've went to, I've seen have had bad booking decisions. WWE has had bad booking decisions. AEW has had bad booking decisions. Ring of Honor, you know, before the Tony Khan era, has had bad booking decisions. Impact has definitely had their share of bad booking over the years. So it's like, yes, there's sometimes wrestling's going to be good, and there's sometimes it's going to be bad. It's just like a show or a movie. Like, yeah, certain movies in a genre or a series are going to be good, and then other ones are going to be questionable. Like, you're like even a season of a TV show. Like, one season maybe leagues better than another one. You know, that's just how any industry works. You're going to have good and you're going to have bad. You know, it's like, you know, I'm a video gamer. Like, yeah, there's games in a series of games that one game is good and then they make another one and it sucks. Or, you know, or the first one sucks and then they turn around and make a second one and its league's better. You know? Like, I am a wrestling fan. I am going to watch wrestling no matter what it is because I enjoy the sport. You know, people were like, oh, SummerSlam was mid. It was bad. No, it wasn't. Yeah, some of the matches, you know, you knew who was going to win, but welcome to wrestling. It's scripted. Congratulations on just now figuring that out. I mean, but it was they implemented it well. You know, yeah, everyone and their brother knew EO was going to cash in. But I was excited to see it because EO was finally going to get her just due. And now the title picture is more interesting because Charlotte didn't take the loss. Asuka lost her title. Bianca held the title for 45 seconds and got cashed in on. And now you got EO as the champion. So, boom. 4 women going at it for the title. So, it's interesting to see where they're going here. And then you have the bloodline, you know. You have Roman. You have Solo. Solo's pissed about the spear. And then you have Jimmy that turned on Jay. So there's different equations into the one story, and it's interesting to see which way they're going to go, or have multiple small stories out of the one big story, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if you're not happy with wrestling, then just don't watch it. I mean, but it's like, I get so tired of seeing people sit there on their keyboard like, wrestling sucks, WWE sucks, AEW sucks, my sports team sucks, even though they won. They should have won by this much. This coach sucks. Fire him. I don't like this play. It's like, dude, stop being fair weather, get a life, and just enjoy, entertainment that is being provided to us. I mean, yes, you are entitled to your opinion, but for the people that just get online and do nothing but complain about anything in life, it's like, bro, get a grip and stop bitching about everything. But enough ranting. I thought SummerSlam was a solid show. But, I mean, and let me go back to, the question about Vince being in creative and Triple H's response. I mean, Triple H is 100% correct. I mean, Vince McMahon made the industry what it is. Love him or hate him. Yes, the guy has done some shady shit in his career, but, the man has made the wrestling industry a juggernaut. So, yeah, why would Triple H and company not seek advice from Vince McMahon? I mean, Vince does, have good ideas sometimes, and he has bad ones, but so does anybody. It's life. It's how it works. Anyway, guys, I'm done rambling. It's 2:12. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Hopefully you enjoyed WrestleTalk Summerslam edition, and I'll see you in the next video.